Hello, and welcome to your favorite show on the world. Did I just say on the world? Hello, and welcome to your favorite show on the world.
Gilga.
I'm glad that you could be here with me today, because we're about to do something very special. And by special, I mean
Special.
what we are going to do here is show you a play-by-play commentary on a game called Slay the Spire. Slay the Spire. Yes. So what we're going to do is go step by step through every single play that I make, the decision making in terms of in-depth whenever it gets more into the complicated things, just to kind of show people how great the game is to its roots. And it kind of also help people who maybe don't understand so much as to what they should do, or if they can't get past a certain level, why aren't they able to get past a certain level, things like that. So it's going to be a series. We're going to release them daily. This is going to be episode 1, and we'll see how many episodes there ends up being, but the run is pretty lengthy, and we do quite a good job, and I was pretty happy with the results. So I'm sure that you'll have just as fun of a time as I did playing it. So just sit back. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy watching this series. Yeah, let's do another run. Let's see if I can. Maybe we can do another cool build, possibly. So, one of the biggest choices is at the beginning of the game whenever you get this whale. It's random which choices that you have. I think that removing a card is probably by far the best one, because removing your strike to slim down your deck is always super important, because whenever you are picking cards to start building your deck in the way that you want to, losing those strike cards, because you're replacing them with better attack cards, right? Or whatever direction you're sending your deck. It thins out your deck while you're building your deck at the same time, and it makes it so that you're not drawing strikes whenever you want to be drawing the core of your deck. So, as a rule of thumb, defense is pretty much always better than attack. Whenever you're here, whenever you're choosing your route, the main thing that you want to look for, especially in Act 1, is how many times can I reach a campsite? Is there a specific route where I can hit a campsite more than the other routes? In which case, that's your priority, because you want to get to campsites to where you can upgrade the core of your deck as soon as possible. The reason is, whenever you get to a point whenever you're upgrading your cards, it gives you more margin for error in terms of taking damage or not. Whenever you are not taking damage, especially on the silent, the other class has a built-in relic which has him heal at the end of every single match. The silent doesn't have that luxury. So you have to be very, very cautious with your hit points on this class, especially early in the game, because if you get to the boss and you're only at like half health, you're putting yourself up in a position where you really have to play well. So you really just have to be careful with this class's hit points, and that's why I think, especially on this class, campfires are by far the highest priority. So by the looks of it, this way you can get 2 campfires. And it looks like the only route well, in this route you can get a second campfire, so that could be okay. Yeah, I think we're gonna go with this one. So with these enemies, they have a buff that is called Curl Up, and whenever they take any source of attack damage, and that's specifically attack damage, meaning a card that has this little indicator attack on it, they will curl up and they will get block, which to be able to hurt someone's health, you have to get through their block first. So what you want to do here, if possible, is you want to proc both of them on the same turn while also not taking damage. So we're going to see if that's possible. So the first thing we want to look at is this is a free card that we can play this turn, and we would want to play it on this one because one, it applies weak, which as you see makes them deal 25% less damage. So we would obviously play that on the one. Two cases here. On one, the one that does the most damage, which is this one, but also if you see this guy, whenever he curls up, he's going to get 7 block versus this one that only gains 5. So if we can only proc one of the two this turn without taking any damage, we definitely want to do this one. Also, block, if you didn't know, goes away after the turn that it's used. So if we do it on this guy, he's going to be closer to death than this guy. So what we want to see, if I use this on him, we still have all 3 mana, and he loses 25% damage. So he's going to go down to about 5 damage, so he still has 11 damage. So it looks like if we proc both of them, we can defend everything. So the play is this. We neutralize him, use a strike on him, use a defend, and then we use survivor, which gives us 8 block. And it doesn't matter which one you discard, because discard whenever your draw hand, your draw pile runs out, your discard goes back to your draw pile. So can we can knock someone out here and we can defend. So what we want to do here, since this guy now has more health than this one and we can kill either of them for free without taking any damage, whichever way we go, we want to kill the guy that has the most health. It just gives us more margin for error for later turns. And this one, this is just getting a kill. So obviously with your first card that you choose, you're really kind of pushing, if your luck goes well, the way that your deck's gonna go. So with this one, backflip is okay, but not as a first card. Skewer, I think, is relatively weak, especially as a first card, but Noxious Fumes is a very good first card in terms of setting up your deck, so we're gonna go with that one. Now, this random event would be very good, very, very good if we had removed more of these. But if we upgrade 2 cards and it hits on 2 strikes, we're not really happy. Because remember, like I said, on the silent, you don't regain health every turn like the other class. Now, if we were playing the other class, I'd be all for doing this, but because we're playing the silent, we really need to be a little judicial on our health points. So we're actually, if this was later and we only had like 1 strike left, I'd probably do it, but we're not going to do it. So again, priority number 1 is always going to be to not take any damage. So he's going to do 12 damage, so we really can only do 1 strike, and then we need to do block and survivor. And again, it doesn't matter which card you discard there. Here, we want to really snowball the fight for us. So what we're going to do is we're going to play Noxious Fumes, because that's going to start stacking up. Because at the start of our turn, we're going to put 2 poison on him, and that's going to stack up every single turn. So if we just stall out and don't take damage, he's just going to die by himself to the poison. And that's what we want to do. So what he's doing here, he's not attacking us whatsoever. So there's no point in using defense. So we have 2 mana left, or energy. What we want to do is pump in as much damage as we can here, since there's no point of using that. So he's doing 16 damage here. It looks like no matter what, we're going to take some damage. So we want to take as little as possible. So we're just going to play 3 defense and then pass. Remember, again, as long as we just take as little damage as possible, he will die to this. So that's our plan. So this is a really good card in this situation against this guy, considering he has 4 extra damage from his strength gain. This is going to limit that damage, especially for this turn, and it lets us be able to use 2 strikes and survivor, since it bumped him down to 8 damage. So that's really strong. And here, as you can see, he has 4 poison, and the thing about poison is it goes through block. So even though he has 5 block here, this poison is just going to auto kill him. We literally don't have to do a single turn, or a single thing. We can just enter a turn and he's going to die. That's that. So considering we're going for a poison build, Sucker Punch can work. It's not terrible. In fact, we're probably going to take it. I don't like Outmaneuver. I think it's clunky. And Flechettes is not going to be good in the deck that we're building. So we're going to go with Sucker Punch. It's actually quite good. So here, we're really looking for a poison card to enhance our deck. Bane is okay, but it's not that great. So I think what's stronger is removing a card and probably going for Blur. Blur is just a fantastic card. So we're going to remove a strike, and we're going to get Blur. And then what we want to do here, this has the potential to backfire, but I think it's stronger than facing a minion early like this whenever our build's not ready. This one can really suck. So this one could really backfire. So we're hoping this doesn't backfire. Some of the results from this guy are good. Some of them are very bad. So we're hoping this doesn't backfire. Okay, hopefully he burns a strike. Oh, okay, okay. Actually, so I thought that was going to burn a card, but we just get a curse, which is not what we wanted, but we're going to have to work with it. And it's a pretty bad one, too. That's not a good one. So here, we have full health. We don't need a rest. What's going to be the best card for us to upgrade here in terms of keeping with the consistent theme of not taking as much damage? So Neutralize, although it seems weak, is actually very strong because it keeps weak on for 2 turns instead of 1. And there are some enemies, once you learn their patterns, you know that they'll do one thing one turn and have a strong attack the next turn, or a weak attack one turn and then a strong attack next turn. And having weak for 2 turns is very strong. Noxious Fumes, applying 1 extra poison a turn, is not good enough yet, and it doesn't keep with the theme of keeping our damage to a minimum. Sucker Punch is another fantastic one. It's probably better than Neutralize at this point because we have it. If we didn't have Sucker Punch, I would probably upgrade Neutralize. We don't need to upgrade Blur at this point. It is pretty good, but it only just gives us 3 extra block, which can be good, but I think Sucker Punch is the better one here. It gives us a little more firepower, but it applies weak, which is really strong for 2 turns instead of 1. So we're going to face an Elite here. Elites, if you feel like your deck's strong enough, are generally good to go for. And if you feel like you're not going to be able to do it without taking a substantial amount of damage, you should probably try and avoid them. At least until your deck's a little better. So what we have a pretty interesting decision to make here. The way that I'm looking at it, we're going to use these 4 cards. But the order that we can't speak up. The order that we do them in is very important. So these guys, this little gear icon is a buff that they have called Artifact, and it basically negates 1 debuff. So a debuff are things that we are going to apply to them. Poison is a debuff, weak is a debuff. So we can actually do this turn without taking any damage whatsoever. So what we're gonna do, I actually think we're gonna take 1 damage, but I'm okay taking 1 damage. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna, and the reason that we're gonna do it in this order is because I want to weaken this guy, because he's probably going to attack next turn instead of using his strategic negative effect. They usually don't do that twice in a row, although they can. We want to kill the lowest health guy first, remember, because whenever we kill the lowest health guy and get him out of the way, it's 1 less person that has the potential of doing damage to us. So we're going to use this for free to proc his artifact. And then what we can do is use our Sucker Punch, which remember we upgraded so it applies 2 weak, which just lasts for 2 turns. So if he attacks us next turn, we're not going to take damage from it. We're going to use Noxious Flames to proc the rest of the artifacts and also snowball us. And we're actually going to use our Dexterity Potion so that this makes us only take 1 damage instead of 3. Because again, our health points are very important as the Silent. This is not what we're looking for. So this one, we're gonna take. This is why we used Sucker Punch on him, because he's doing 2 less damage than he would have done otherwise. So we have 14 damage that we need to mitigate, and we can do that by we can actually play Strike, Defend, Defend, and that gives us 14 defense because we have 2 dexterity from the potion, which is actually fantastic. The problem is, if we do it that way, we're gonna take 2 damage from this. And we really don't want to do that. So we're gonna play Survivor instead of Defend. So we're gonna attack him, play Defend, and then we're gonna play Survivor. We can. It really doesn't matter which of the 2 that we discard here because we have 17 block and we're only taking 14 damage. But obviously, if you were not going to be able to block all the damage, of course this would be the card that you would want to discard. So we'll just do that to have basically a good muscle memory. So this is going to start stacking up, and that's really important. So this is the turn that we really don't have any choice on what we're going to do. So okay, this is pretty unfortunate. We don't really have a choice though. We're going to take some damage here, unfortunately. So this guy will die no matter what now because of the poison on him. So we can start focusing on other people. I'm going to weaken him because, again, he'll probably not do that twice in a row. We're definitely doing that, and then we can attack him again. Taking 9 damage is not ideal, but it's an elite fight, so we don't feel terrible about it. So he's going to die. The debuffs for poison, they always proc before they attack. So as you see, he's going to die since he has 5 poison against 5 health. So even though he would attack, he's going to die before the attack goes off, so I don't have to worry about that damage. And that blur, this card right here, we use that card because it's letting us have that 14 block for this turn as well against this guy, in case we got a hand like this. So as you can see, the noxious fumes are really starting to add up on him, so this fight's going to be done very soon. So even though we're not really getting any damage on him actively, we're doing a lot otherwise, and fight's over now. This is a fantastic relic to get this early. That's actually very good. All of these kind of are not that good in this deck. Burst can be good, especially if we get Bouncing Flask later, which I'll you know, hopefully I am able to show you that, but it's hard to pick that card this early. We have very little in terms of skills. And everyone can be like, ha, yeah, you suck. You have no skills. Yeah. I just don't think I can justify picking that skill. It's good with blur because it makes it so that the buff where your block is not removed at the start of your turn, it makes that apply for 2 turns instead of just 1, which is really good. But other than that, in Survivor, it's not that good. It can work really well if we get good cards later, and if I pick that, we're banking on it. Do it. So I think that we're gonna go for it. Hello, it's great to see you again. I hope that you enjoyed episode 1. We're going to do something a little new here on this channel. They don't get that many comments yet, but what we're going to do is choose one comment for every video. Anyway. And then put it in front of all your beautiful faces. And then make a comment on them.
Comment section.
So the first one comes from this little lovely lady. And she says, "Play with me, daddy." I'm good. You're also grounded. I'm flattered, though. But I hope that you guys enjoyed the first episode of this series. We're going to be doing a lot more of these. They're going to be uploaded daily, every single day. So sit back, you know, whenever we get to tomorrow, maybe be productive in society for the rest of today, instead of just sitting down and relaxing. I mean, it's not my decision, it's yours, so like more power to you if that's what you decide to do. But yeah. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I genuinely do appreciate it from the bottom of my heart, everyone that watches these videos. I'm glad that I can put in time into something that I love doing. And I hope that you enjoyed the video. Until tomorrow, I will see ya!